Oye, 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 espérate y espérame. Pero vamos a hablar inglés.
No me llama Carlos, ese no es mi nombre, te voy a dar un cocotazo. Tienes que entender que soy muy fino, muchacho. Me da pique porque para ti soy un fracaso. Me da pique porque para los hombres soy Pegaso. Me da pique porque transfoy sobrepaso. Me da pique porque ellos son carrasco. Me da pique porque ellos son carrasco. Un carrasco, dale fuetazo. Un carrasco, dale fuetazo.
¿Qué lo que, mi gente? And welcome back to another episode of the VAMOS HABLAR INGLÉS Podcast. I'm your host, La Reina Taina, and today we're going to be reading again. Yes, Lord. Today we're going to be reading my blog, which can be found on my website at www.larenataina.com/blog blog. The title of today's blog that we will be reading is titled The Ugly, Scary, Lonely Truth About Trans Mental Health, Utilizing an Afro-Jotx Consciousness. So I'm really excited because here we're going to be applying what we learned last episode regarding the 21 tenets that I created as a way to ground us in how we analyze the world using the Afro-Jotx lens. So take a sit back, get your water, get your tea, get your drinky drink, get your winky wink, get your blinky blink, and follow along with me on my website at www.larenataina.com/blog blog. And we're going to be reading it together, same style. Please enjoy. The blog is titled The Ugly, Scary, Lonely Truth About Trans Mental Health, Utilizing an Afro-Jotx Consciousness. Trans people are humans. Reina. The ugly, scary, lonely truth about trans mental health is that trans people, especially Black trans women, are systematically dehumanized in this society. We are in the throes of a global trans mental health crisis, or GTMHC for short. A crisis born from a society that refuses to acknowledge our humanity. The Western healthcare system, designed exclusively for cisgender people by businessmen, thrives on maintaining a steady flow of ill cisgender individuals and profiting from their suffering. This system's inherent disregard for the well-being, dignity, and humanity of its own people starkly underscores the catastrophic reality of the GTMHC. This literary analysis will reveal the roots of this crisis, utilizing the transformative theoretical frameworks of Afro-Jotería Studies, developed by Abou to champion the visibility and liberation of Afro-Jotx people, queer and trans, Afro-Latinx, Afro-Caribbean, and Afro-Indigenous individuals. Afro-Jotería Studies offers a vital lens through which we can understand and combat the GTMHC. Situating GTMHC in the Afro-Jotx consciousness. Addressing this crisis through an Afro-Jotx consciousness provides decolonial queer trans-feminist insights into the origins of the GTMHC, the authentic trans narrative, and potential solutions to reimagine and reform the Western healthcare system. The Afro-Jotx consciousness embodies a critical thinking and stoic existence journey rooted in self-discovery, collective healing, and spiritual activism. Guided by 21 tenets, it commits to multidimensional social justice and activism, total liberation of all Afro-Jotx people, and is deeply rooted in laughter, silliness, Black trans joy, and radical Black queer love. The Afro-Jotx consciousness insists that total liberation is imperative for Afro-Jotx and all oppressed people. It demands and dedicates itself to achieving the absolute, immediate, permanent, and total liberation of all Afro-Jotx people, with no exceptions. Applying this perspective to the GTMHC necessitates identifying and analyzing primary sources from Afro-Jotx voices. This analysis will explore works by Dr. Dora Santana, Tito Mitjans Alayon, Alan Pelaez Lopez, and Camo, aka La Reina Taina. These Afro-Jotx scholars offer a glimpse behind the oppressive curtain that seeks to dim las luces al final de Cristobal. And I quote, The origins of the GTMHC. The origins of the global trans mental health crisis are deeply rooted in systemic oppression and institutionalized discrimination. Historically, the medical community has pathologized transgender identities, treating them as mental disorders. This stigmatization was perpetuated by the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5, which until recently listed gender dysphoria as a mental health condition. The classification not only invalidated the identities of transgender individuals, but also subjected them to harmful and unnecessary medical scrutiny and treatments. The systemic bias within the healthcare system, designed predominantly for cisgender individuals, further alienated trans people, denying them appropriate and affirming care. Socio-political and economic factors have exacerbated this crisis. Transgender individuals, particularly Black trans women, face disproportionately high rates of violence, discrimination, and poverty, contributing to severe mental health challenges. According to Mental Health America, 71% of transgender and non-binary youth have experienced discrimination due to their gender identity, and 40% have attempted suicide. The intersection of racial and gender oppression, known as polyvictimization, places Black trans women at an even higher risk for depression, PTSD, and other mental health issues. Anti-transgender legislation and social stigmatization further marginalize these individuals, stripping away their rights and access to necessary support systems. Understanding these origins is crucial for improving trans allyship and fostering a more inclusive society. Recognizing the systemic failures and historical injustices that have led to the global trans mental health crisis allows us to address the root causes and advocate for structural changes in healthcare, social policy, and community support. By promoting affirming and inclusive environments, both within healthcare and society at large, we can begin to mitigate the mental health crisis affecting the transgender community. The Manic Reality, an Afro-Jotx analysis of VAMOS Hablar in America and the global trans mental health crisis. Reina's track Harta/Manica en America from the album I'm on Ox Now poignantly articulates the mental and emotional turmoil experienced by Black trans individuals in America. The lyrics convey a raw expression of frustration and desperation, resonating deeply with the experiences of those living with bipolar disorders, ADHD, acute anxiety, PTSD, and suicidal ideation, conditions Reina herself grapples with. The repeated cry of "stop" and "I'm fed up" symbolizes the exhaustion and alienation faced by many in society that constantly marginalizes and pathologizes their existence. This track aligns with several tenets of Afro-Jotx consciousness, particularly Tenet 11, which rejects systemic oppression such as transphobia, racism, and capitalism. The lyrics, and I quote, "Pensé que tú eres democrática, pero en realidad te falta técnica," end quote, critique the false promises of democracy and the systemic failures to protect and affirm Black trans lives. This resonates with the urgent need to prioritize trans mental health amidst the global trans mental health crisis, as systemic injustices exacerbate mental health crises within this community. Reina's declaration, and I quote, "Trans pride, but they call me lunatica," end quote, reflects tenet number 17's emphasis on the sacredness of the Black trans perspective and the rejection of dehumanizing narratives. The societal tendency to dismiss and stigmatize Black trans individuals' mental health struggles is a significant contributor to the global trans mental health crisis. By voicing these struggles through her art, Reina not only reclaims her narrative but also highlights the critical need for inclusive, affirming mental health care that recognizes the intersectional realities of Black trans lives. Harta/Manica en America serves as both a personal testimony and a broader critique of systemic failures. It underscores the importance of addressing the global trans mental health crisis through an Afro-Jotx consciousness framework, which advocates for holistic, decolonial, and intersectional approaches to mental health care. By centering the lived experiences and voices of Black trans individuals, we can work towards a more just and affirming society. Juxtaposing resilience and crisis, Dr. Santana's Mais Viva and the global trans mental health crisis. In analyzing Dr. Dora Santana's Mais Vivas, resemblando la experiencia trans, la negritud y el feminismo, alongside the global trans mental health crisis, we gain profound insight into the systemic and intersectional challenges faced by Black trans women. Santana's concept of Mais Viva, which means more alive, alert, knowledgeable, embodies an embodied knowledge of Black and trans resistance. This critical consciousness is crucial for building self-love and community resilience in the face of pervasive systemic violence and marginalization. Santana draws on her conversations with Black Brazilian travesti activist Selene Ravache and the legacy of Black feminist Beatriz Nascimento to highlight the resistance and resilience within the Black trans community. She argues that the lived experiences of Black trans women, characterized by what she calls Afro-Trans vivencias, are vital for understanding and challenging the oppressive structures that underpin the global trans mental health crisis. Santana emphasizes that these experiences are not merely about survival, but also about thriving through collective care, joy, and spiritual activism. She states, "A luta é nossa, viva a vida." The struggle is ours, live life, encapsulating the spirit of resistance and resilience that defines the Afro-Jotx consciousness. Santana's work underscores the importance of recognizing and addressing these systemic failures through a decolonial queer transfeminist lens. Her concept of Papo de Mana, Sister Talk, as a methodological approach foregrounds the voices and experiences of Black trans women, advocating for their visibility and liberation. In essence, Santana's Mais Viva offers a powerful framework for reimagining and reforming the Western healthcare system to be more inclusive and affirming of transgender identities, ultimately working towards mitigating the global trans mental health crisis. In sum, Santana's Mais Viva provides a critical lens through which we can understand and address the systemic injustices that contribute to the global trans mental health crisis. Her emphasis on embodied knowledge, collective care, and spiritual activism resonates deeply with the principles of Afro-Jotx Consciousness, advocating for the total liberation of all Afro-Jotx people. Intergalactic Journeys, Alan Pelaez Lopez's Intergalactic Travels and the Global Trans Mental Health Crisis. Alan Pelaez Lopez's Intergalactic Travels, Poems from a Fugitive Alien, offers a poignant exploration of identity, migration, and survival that intersects powerfully with the themes of global trans mental health crisis. Lopez's work vividly illustrates the compounded traumas faced by Black trans individuals through the lens of their own lived experiences as an undocumented Black trans person. The concept of being a fugitive alien underscores the perpetual state of fleeing and surviving in a world that relentlessly dehumanizes and marginalizes trans identities. Lopez's poetry navigates the intersections of race, gender, and immigration status, portraying a world where Black trans bodies are continually subjected to violence and erasure. In their poem, and I quote, "Sick in America," Lopez writes, "The Black body does not migrate, it is shipped," reflecting on the historical and ongoing systemic oppression that Black trans individuals face. This resonates with the global trans mental health crisis, highlighting how the intersectional oppressions of race and gender exacerbates mental health crises. The trauma of displacement, combined with the societal devaluation of Black trans lives, contributes to the severe mental health challenges documented in the global trans mental health crisis. Lopez's Intergalactic Travels also emphasizes the resilience and strength of Black trans individuals amidst relentless adversity. The poet reflects on their experiences of survival and the reclamation of identity, stating, and I quote, "To survive fugitivity is to experiment with everyday forms of escape," end quote. This narrative of resilience aligns with Afro-Jotx consciousness, which advocates for the total liberation and joyous survival of Afro-Jotx individuals. Lopez's work calls for a reimagining of existence beyond the oppressive structures that seek to contain and define Black trans bodies. The text insists on the necessity of crafting spaces of joy and resistance, even in the face of pervasive systemic violence. By juxtaposing Lopez's Intergalactic Travels with the global trans mental health crisis, we gain a deeper understanding of the intersectional forces that contribute to the crisis. The poems serve as both a testament to the ongoing struggles and a powerful call to action for trans allyship. Lopez's exploration of identity, trauma, and resilience not only underscores the urgent need for systemic change, but also celebrates the enduring spirit of Black trans individuals. Transnational Black Feminisms, analyzing Tito Millán Alayon's insights and the global trans mental health crisis. In his conference presentation on transnational Black feminisms and activism in Latin America and the Caribbean, Tito Millán Alayon offers critical insights into the intersectional struggles of Black trans individuals, which directly relates to the global trans mental health crisis. Alayon, an Afro-Cuban transmasculine feminist activist, emphasizes the importance of a transnational perspective in understanding the compounded oppressions faced by Black trans people. He discusses how Black feminist cartographies help locate and affirm Black identities within a broader transnational framework, challenging the erasure imposed by dominant mestizo narratives in Latin America. Alayon's work resonates deeply with several tenets of Afro-Jotx consciousness, particularly those emphasizing total liberation and the rejection of systemic oppression. Tenet 8 calls for the, and I quote, absolute, immediate, permanent, and total liberation of all Afro-Jotx people with absolutely no exceptions, end quote. Alayon's advocacy in transnational Black feminism aligns with this tenet, as he underscores the necessity of global solidarity in combating the marginalization of Black trans identities. By situating Black trans experiences within a larger transnational context, Alayon highlights the shared struggles and collective resistance of Black trans communities across borders. Furthermore, Alayon's emphasis on community and collective care echoes tenet number 1, which is rooted in laughter, silliness, Black trans joy, and radical Black queer love. His discussion on Afro-Transfeminismo, co-imagined by Afro-Brazilian trans women activists, showcases how Black trans individuals create spaces of joy and resilience amidst pervasive systemic violence. This approach challenges the dehumanizing structures that contribute to the global trans mental health crisis by fostering environments where Black trans people can thrive and reclaim their identities. In essence, Alayon's analysis of transnational Black feminisms offers a powerful lens through which we can examine the global trans mental health crisis. His emphasis on intersectionality, community, and global solidarity aligns with the principles of Afro-Jotx consciousness, advocating for a holistic approach to liberation and mental health care for Black trans people. An Afro-Jotx consciousness analysis of La Luz al Final de Cristobal. Reina's poem, La Luz al Final de Cristobal, weaves a powerful narrative of resistance and reclamation, drawing deeply from Afro-Jotx consciousness. The poem metaphorically positions the speaker as the light at the end of Cristobal, symbolizing a beacon of hope and resilience against colonial legacies. This aligns with tenet number 8, which emphasizes the total liberation of all Afro-Jotx people. The speaker's declaration, and I quote, "Our tongues are chained to the mechanical wheel de capitalismo," end quote, critiques the capitalist structures that perpetuate the erasure and commodification of marginalized identities, resonating with tenet number 11's rejection of systemic oppression such as capitalism and colonization. The imagery of whales visiting in dreams and the call to take us home evokes a spiritual journey towards self-discovery and communal healing, reflecting tenet number 17's celebration of the Black trans perspective and the sacredness of the Black trans body. The poem's invocation of historical figures like Tubman and Lumumba situates the Afro-Jotx struggle within a broader context of global resistance, emphasizing interconnectedness and solidarity. This echoes tenet number 16, which encourages the reimagination of society through queer Afrofuturism and Latinx futurism. By juxtaposing the poem's themes with the global trans mental health crisis, we see how the systemic erasure and historical traumas faced by Black trans individuals contribute to the mental health crisis. The poem's call for collective action and recognition of Afro-Jotx identities serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of inclusive and affirming spaces that honor the complexities of these experiences. La Luz al Final de Cristobal ultimately serves as a testament to the enduring spirit of Afro-Jotx resilience and the transformative power of Afro-Jotx consciousness in addressing and overcoming the global trans mental health crisis. Where do we go from here? In closing, the global trans mental health crisis is deeply rooted in systemic oppression and institutionalized discrimination. The DSM-5's pathologization of transgender identities, coupled with societal devaluation, exacerbates the mental health crisis within the trans community. By examining the works of Afro-Jotx scholars and activists such as Dr. Dora Santana, Alan Pelaez Lopez, and Tito Millán Alayon, alongside with poignant expressions of Gamo, we see a powerful call for inclusive, affirming, and decolonial approaches to mental health care. The statistics are stark and urgent. 71% of transgender and non-binary youth experience discrimination, and 40% have attempted suicide. Disturbingly, 47% of Black trans women have been sexually assaulted, and they are more likely to experience human trafficking and domestic violence, with over 80% of anti-transgender homicides in the U.S. involving Black women. Nearly 1 in 2 transgender people report being sexually assaulted at some point in their lives, and transgender people are at higher risk of sex trafficking. As Patrice Lumumba once said, and I quote, "The day will come when history will speak. Africa will write its own history. It will be a history of glory and dignity," end quote. Similarly, the history and future of trans mental health must be written by those who live it. The call to action is clear. Advocate, support, and stand in solidarity with the trans community. The fight for mental health justice is a fight for humanity, dignity, and total liberation. Let us be the light at the end of Cristobal, illuminating a path toward a just and affirming world for all trans individuals. Trans people are human. Researched and authored by Reina Camo Vazquez Sabino. Published by Reina 2024 at www.lareinataina.com. Reina's life motto: to reimagine and challenge the self via art. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. This is the VAMOS HABLAR INGLÉS Podcast. I am your host, La Reina Taina. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to really understand my analysis of the global trans mental health crisis. There's a lot there, and we're going to spend all year analyzing it, expanding on it, and diving deeper into it. Vete con Dios, y que Dios te da amor, sabiduría y salud. ¡Mua!
No pasa nada, yo veo agua, meneo de culito como Tyler, amor profundo como Haya, flow psicopata como Arga, transfeminista como Gaga, te da miedo